welcome to the Comedy of Errors that is trying out a new situation. Hopefully this all looks nice to you. I'm kind of monitoring it here. It looks nice to me, other than my water bottle's in the screen anyway, so I'll move it. This could be interesting. David in the chat, or David, says, very cute, have video but no audio. And David says, and we have audio. Chesta says, yup. So I think we're video, audio good now. I promise you in the future we will have this worked out so that it just kind of does what it does. Andrew keeps looking from camera to camera, and we'll have a good time with it. So this is a little weird for us, Andrew. If you can stop meerkatting for a second. This is a little weird for us because our producer Phil's not in the room with us.
It's so sad.
He's producing from outside the room.
Yeah.
So
Phil!
We miss you, Phil. Phil, we miss you.
You know what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to take a saw to this wall. And then just get a sliding door.
We could do one of those radio-style windows.
Yeah.
Right there, just so we can see his beautiful face.
I miss Phil.
Yeah, it could be
the
very
week after we did that, we cut a hole in your wall, he'd quit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd have to sell the house.
Classic Phil.
Jay Bourgeois says, hey guys, Aaron, saw you talking on Twitter about post shows, and I was wondering if producer Phil has done a list of shame yet. That's a great question. Maybe we could have producer Phil come in and do his list of shame for our for our post show when we do that. Chesta says, can't wait to hear JoJo thoughts from you guys. Well, we can't wait to see JoJo.
Yeah.
So, but we are waiting because it is... It is not available.
We can wait.
We
don't have an option.
And we will wait because we can't see it yet. But once we see it, we will give you our JoJo thoughts.
For shizzles.
For sure. So I apologize if I'm looking to wrong camera when I speak. We also don't really have a way to engage which camera is looking at us, so apologies on that. But for the most part, we'll be talking to each other during the podcast anyway.
Yeah.
Again, a reminder, this is a wonderful way for us to give the podcast kind of a new little shine to it so that people can come watch the podcast instead of just listen to the podcast.
I see what you did there.
What did I do there?
A new shine.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So
you didn't mean to do that, did you?
Of course. I always assume it's intentional, Andrew. Always assume. Give me the benefit of the doubt. Anyhow, Phil in the chat says, I did a list of shame a long time ago. Could probably do another one. But yeah, maybe we'll do that for our post show. So thank you for watching this in the recording of SiftPop. If you want to subscribe to the audio show, you can do that wherever you do your podcasting, and we would appreciate it.
Why do I always get something in my eye as soon as we go live? Every single time.
I don't know. Why do you always put something in your eye right before we go live? I always find that very strange that you do that.
Yeah.
But I guess that's the way it works. All right, so Chesta, Jay Bourgeois, David, and several others, it looks like, are already hanging out with us. So we're going to talk about Dr. Sleep and a whole bunch of fun stuff. If Andrew's ready.
I guess.
All right.
I'm going to need an eye patch soon.
Yeah. If you're not ready, we can wait just a little bit more. Ain't no worries.
All right, I'm good.
Ain't no big thing.
Let me do that SiftPopper thingy.
Yeah, let's do that.
Because it is recorded in front of
live internet. We can absolutely go back to doing that because we're doing a live show again.
Yeah.
All right.
SiftPop podcast is recorded in front of a live internet audience.
Very nice. Live from a bunker in the heart of the Ozarks, a podcast that rode a big wheel into work over both hardwood and carpet. Here's SiftPop. Welcome to SiftPop Weekly. We're streaming live most weekends, or available download later in your podcast feed, unless, of course, you're a patron.
Patrons get perks.
Patrons get those perks.
Rad Rob.
I'm your host, Aaron Dicer, and he's my Ormsby darling light of my life, co-host Andrew Ormsby. And each week we'll chat about movies, television, and whatever else from the pop culture universe is on our minds.
Hello, Governor.
Hello. I switched it up to be movie specific. I think that's what we'll do from here on out.
It's easier for you.
We kind of went through the alphabet. People know how much I love you.
And numbers.
And numbers, yeah. So.
You did a fair amount of numbers.
Thank you.
Not all of them.
No, we took it to 11, I think.
Yeah.
which you really should, I think, if you're going to do it.
This one goes up to 11.
I am excited about this show for a couple reasons. You could be listening to this show, in your headphones like you usually do. Maybe you're working out. Maybe you're on a long drive, whatever the case may be. But we launched a new kind of video setup for the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And if you haven't checked out the live YouTube recordings of SiftPop, I'd highly encourage you to do that. Not just live, but also after the fact as well. It's not like they disappear.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of get a look into the way we record what we do here. So it's kind of an exciting new thing. Producer Phil is just... He's kind of a genius.
Good job, Phil.
He's not in the room with us.
I miss you.
He's not in the room with us anymore, so you won't necessarily hear him popping in unless we find a way to do an external mic outside of the room.
Sad, but then we wouldn't hear him.
That's true. We'd have to wear headphones, which we don't usually wear.
No.
So it's a little bit different, but we're excited about it. So if you want to check out the YouTube channel, it's just youtube.com/SiftPop. And you can watch these SiftPop podcasts as we record them, and whatever your favorite way to interact with us is, we would love for you to be able to do that. I'm also excited because we are touching on one of Andrew's favorite areas, which is Stephen King stuff.
That's true.
I always love it when one of us have kind of a passionate kind of investment in the material we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to kind of hear your thoughts on that. I'm excited because I did my movie homework and rewatched The Shining right before I went and saw Dr. Sleep, and so kind of have fresh perspective on that. By the way, I'll just say this now. The new 4K transfer of The Shining is mind-blowing. The
bloody elevator scene is crazy.
The whole thing is just gorgeous. Kubrick is obviously an artistic genius. He's a master, and to see it so crisp and clean, and it really must have been what it was like to see some of those first prints, that were sent to theaters, because it's just the colors alone are astonishing. Anyways, that's a little bit of a rabbit trail, but it's kind of on topic.
And those were the ugly, like, late 60s, 70s colors. All the oranges and the mustards.
I don't know if you know this. We still have those colors today. You can still use them.
I know, but they weren't so they're not so prominent like they were, like, ugh.
Yeah, fashion's a weird thing. How color, like the psychology of color, changes throughout time. What we think is cool or interesting or sexy or fun, like it changes through time. That's fascinating to me.
I think bright blues, like neon blues, are in right now because it's futuristic.
Yeah. I personally am a fan of SiftPop green. That's one of my favorite colors right now.
I like SiftPop green.
So we're gonna have a good show. We've got obviously our the usual suspects, like our what do we do at the end? Buried treasure.
We do a buried treasure.
Thank you.
We also do a Sift quest, which the fun people send us on.
I'm not gonna lie. I do so many podcasts every week now that I sometimes forget which ones I'm hosting.
That's fair enough. We do a Sift quest that the people will send us on. We'll do a best ever challenge in movies that have Doctor in the title.
Yeah.
But then we also kick it off with some Do We Care?
Every single week. Wait a second. I feel like we just did rabbit season, duck season. That was a little bit weird. So, kick us off with some Do We Care.
Every single week, I scour the internet to find out what is going on in the entertainment world. I pick 3 topics for us to discuss, and we must decide, do we care or not? Number 1, Colin Farrell in talks to play the Penguin, as well as Andy Serkis as Alfred in Robert Pattinson's Batman film. This cast is lighting up, people.
It was already pretty lit up. The cast. Here's my thing. Are we approaching too many villains?
There's a comic book that I've heard, what's his face? He did Jay and Silent Bob. Help me out.
Kevin Smith?
Kevin Smith talking about this possibly being based around this, I think it's called The Long Halloween. It's a Batman comic I haven't read yet. Okay. But it's just like a plethora of a bunch of villains that make cameos and stuff, so it's not like they're... like he's fighting every single one, Okay. So I'm assuming that's what's going on. But we already have. Man, I am not prepared for today, am I? No, we have Paul Dano who's playing the Riddler, and because we have Lenny Kravitz playing Catwoman. Mm-hmm. So this cast is getting some A-listers in there for shizzles.
It's going to be an interesting thing to see all these people doing all this work.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's Matt Reeves, and that's, for me, slotting the director is often the biggest step for me, because once you slot the director, they're going to define so much of the tone of the movie, the style of the movie, that the actors can give great performances, but if they don't have somebody putting it into context, it doesn't really matter. So I'll trust Matt and see what he's doing here, and he obviously he's worked with Andy Serkis before, so that shouldn't be a surprise.
I don't know. I think you're. Oh, was he the Cloverfield monster?
Was Andy Serkis?
Yeah.
Here's a question: will Alfred be a CG creation that Andy Serkis is doing here?
Ooh, it's like you're teasing a future "Do We Care" segment. Yeah.
Am I though?
But we're getting one more first. Number 2, Dwayne Johnson to star in a biopic of UFC legend Mark Kerr. Obviously, this is way more for me than anybody.
I was gonna say, I mean, the answer is probably no.
Yeah.
I don't care, but.
But if you are interested, there is a great HBO documentary called The Smashing Machine.
So he looks like the Incredible Hulk to me, this person that this biopic is about. Is this a famous person in UFC
He was like one of the founding...
history?
Yeah.
Okay, so like when Ultimate Fighting Challenge started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back when it was literally no rules.
Mm-hmm.
You could headbutt, you could crotch punch, you could do anything.
No, I remember, and that was mid 90s, right? Because I remember being in college and it was almost like the UFC and like Faces of Death. Or like the same thing where it's like this thing that shouldn't exist, but people watch it and you have to go underground to find these tapes, and people are doing this thing and people could die, man. People could die. That's what I remember from college.
No, that's what it was like, and there's like openly talking about steroid use and stuff like that just to be the scariest looking dude. Yeah. It's actually a really interesting documentary.
Was Hoist Gracie in that era?
Yeah, it's funny because all of the people in like the first years of the UFC looked like Mark Kerr, these big giant dudes, and Hoist Gracie was just this
That's what I remember,
not little guy, but
comparatively,
he was a little guy in his gi.
And he would take these big guys down with submission holds.
Them.
And that's what I remember hearing about. I never saw any of it, but I remember hearing about that stuff.
Hoist Gracie and Hickson, all those Gracies.
Well, this shouldn't be a surprise, right? Like physically it matches. If they're going to do this story, The Rock's the right pull for this. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Number three. Talking about CGI and stuff like that.
Yeah.
James Dean. Have you heard about this?
I did.
Okay. James Dean will be digitally recreated as a credited cast member in an upcoming Vietnam film titled Finding Jack. James Dean passed away, in case you didn't know, in 1955. At the age of 24, he'd only done 3 films. So his family has signed off, his estate signed off on the rights for him to be in this movie. But it has garnered a lot of divisive opinions of
Let me guess. People are scared of technology in the future and they think this is a bad idea.
It's more, exactly. Yeah. But the most of the stuff that I've seen is like, if it is about Vietnam and stuff like that, you don't know how James Dean would have felt about, being in a movie.
Sure.
Based on that or anything like that.
Sure.
Also, how are you going to credit this? I guess they're crediting James Dean, but what does that mean for the mocap artist?
Yeah, it's
because he's the one giving the performance.
It's fascinating, right?
Yeah.
We already deal with this a little bit. We have plenty of CG movies, cartoons, whatever you want to call animated films, where the voice actors and the digital artists combine their skills together to create a character, right? In this case, you're dealing with all a group of, computer people, digital artists, both vocally and visually, but you're also dealing with reference material that comes from an actual person, both visually and vocally. So I think it would be fair to credit it both ways, but here's the important question is, why do you need to credit it? Like, for what purpose do you credit it? For awards? Do you feel like James Dean is going to win an Academy Award for this performance? Like, why do we need to label it with, that? Yeah,
I think this is just like a to show off we can sort of thing.
Sure.
Which that part I could understand, but it could be used so much better. This is how I was looking at it. If you want to use this technology, use it for like a biopic of somebody. We were just talking about Mark Kerr. If you wanted a deep fake Mark Kerr face onto Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I would understand that because you're talking about a real person, you know. If
sure.
I think Philip DeFranco said, if you're going to do a Nelson Mandela biopic, you know, and you were to digitally recreate what Nelson Mandela actually looked like, that would be it would make sense. But creating an artist to portray, or an actor to portray a fake character, serves nothing other than to say, you guys remember this one guy from back in the 50s?
Which isn't nothing. That's not nothing.
I'm not trying to,
you know.
It may sound like I'm scoffing at the technology.
Right.
I'm just saying the application is, I'm just saying that the money that's used to
Right.
create him is so, I don't see a return on investment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, long term, certainly. I mean, you could have said the same thing about the original Toy Story, right? The money invested in doing that, you know, where's the return on investment? That movie did gangbusters, and then all of a sudden there's a whole new type of animated film that is now the dominant force in animated filmmaking.
Yeah.
I think long term the ROI is pretty clear for studios if they don't have to actually pay actors, if they can pay them for the rights to their appearance. And so now actors are making, you know, who knows how much, let's say less than they would make if they showed up to set, but they don't even have to go to set. Like, this is a fascinating thing to me long term for the technology, if it works. And that's a big if, because, you know, we've talked about even recently in Dark Fate, how the bridge over the uncanny valley appears to almost be complete. You know, like we've almost spanned that gap. If it truly is complete, this is another tool in the filmmaker's toolbox, and how you use it can be important morally and ethically, depending on what the family says about it, or if it's a living person, what they say about it.
Yeah.
Because we should have some responsibility and input on how our appearance and voice is used. I think that's valuable.
Yeah.
But having said that, it's just a tool in the tool. Can you imagine like you said, like a documentary about a famous person, but they were the on-screen host of it themselves?
Yeah.
Like they hosted their own
Documentary.
Retrospective.
Yeah.
Like how fascinating is that idea? I was even thinking, we can pull this out of our Dr. Sleep review right now. The idea that they went completely with actors' lookalikes as opposed to doing digital.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to applaud that, and they're going to say, I'm glad they did that because I don't agree with, you know, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they did the digital thing. I've really been enjoying it. I would have, you know, enjoyed seeing Shelley Long playing that role. You know what I mean? Like it's so, but I admit I'm the weird one too. Like I am so tech forward that I'm probably to my own, you know, detriment, to my own fault.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's my opinion.
That's going to wrap it up for Do We Care?
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Bring on the digital actors. I'm so in favor of it. All right. Well, let's get on to our review for this week. Let's talk a little bit of Dr. Sleep. New technology is fun.
Fail!
All right, no trailer today.
Yeah.
Struggling with alcoholism, Dan Torrance remains traumatized by the sinister events that occurred at the Overlook Hotel when he was a child. His hope for a peaceful existence soon becomes shattered when he meets, is it Abra?
Yeah.
Abra. Because Abra is like abracadabra, or is it Abra?
Do you remember whenever they made the joke?
Yeah,
in the movie?
no, I know, but I couldn't remember if they called her Abra or Abra, because Abra is abracadabra, right?
Yeah.
So Abra.
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra?
Yeah, abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
Yeah.
Anyways, they meet Abra, a teen who shares his extrasensory gift of the quote-unquote shine. This is based on a follow-up book to the story of The Shining by Stephen King. So it's not like a whole cloth sequel that somebody came up with, other than the original creator. You're a huge Stephen King fan. I'm excited for us to talk about this. Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay?
I really liked it.
Really liked it.
Yeah.
So not into the needle doesn't quite stretch into the love?
No, I got issues, but
All right.
I really enjoyed myself, and I have a feeling that I'm going to be alone in this.
You're not alone. I liked it.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I think there's some really interesting stuff going on in this movie. I think it does suffer a little bit tonally. I think it. I guess I'll just start here. Let's just jump in. This is a completely different movie than The Shining.
Very much so.
And I think that's a good thing. I don't think you want to try to reinvent Kubrick. Like, you just don't want to do that, right? Like, that's not what you need to do. But there are times where I was like, wait, are we turning The Shining into a superhero movie now? There are moments in this movie where I really got a tonal aesthetic of young adult fiction, modern superhero movies, like all this kind of stuff. But then there also are the tension, the horror, elements that we know from the original Shining. And I think, unfortunately, they made the right decision in not trying to be Kubrick. Yeah. But I think it's almost impossible to escape the shadow of Kubrick. And so there are things in here that kind of mess with that tone. To me, that's the biggest negative of the film. And really the only thing, not the only thing, but the main thing for me that brings it down a few notches is it didn't seem to know what coalesce into what kind of movie overall it wanted to be.
It suffers from the fact that it's a sequel to a movie which was very much different from the book.
Right.
So...
And Stephen King has said he really likes this movie because it almost retcon. He didn't like The Shining.
He hates The Shining.
Yeah.
Because it's totally different. I will say this: there are so many moments in this where I feel bad for the filmmakers because they know 90% of their audience has only seen the movie and not read the book. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to say, okay, well, and by the way, I have not read Dr. Sleep. I tried.
Oh, okay. I was curious about that.
Yeah, I didn't have time.
Yeah.
But I wanted to. I'm probably still going to read it. But this feels so much more like a Stephen King. Like, it feels like his multiverse as opposed to what The Shining did. And there are so many hints and nods to other stories and things in his movie, in his books and stuff, that I was afraid that's the reason why I was going to come away from saying that I really liked it, because there were all those Easter eggs, and I'm like, well, would that have been confusing for people who haven't read all of his other books, who didn't pick up on that kind of stuff?
I will tell you, I didn't notice them.
Good.
So no, I don't think it was. I don't think they were distracting. And you're right. That is a bit of a tightrope to walk sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think they walked it fine because I was not distracted by any Dr. Sleep Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Stephen King Easter eggs, I should say.
I guess we could go back to more generalized stuff. What do you think of Ewan McGregor?
I love Obi-Wan. I think he's great. I liked the performances in this down the line. Rebecca Ferguson, right?
Oh, she's so good. She's creepy.
Yeah,
in a good way.
She's the standout. Although the little girl, and I'll look up her name.
No, she was super good.
She was really good.
Yeah.
So no, overall, I think the cast was really good, and everybody performed well and did their job. What was the little girl's name? Anyways, continue. What are some other things that you liked?
Well, I love, like I said, this feels a lot more like a Stephen King creation than what The Shining did, and I really appreciated that, just because it's that tightrope. Like I said, you got to walk both of them. The journey that Danny goes on from the beginning of this movie, where they have the lookalikes and stuff, where they're going back and you're seeing what life is like right after they leave the Overlook Hotel, and how he's still, being tortured by these demons and monsters and stuff like that, and how that affects the rest of his life, and then you get to grown-up Ewan McGregor, Danny Torrance, and you just see this man who is, doing drugs and drinking and stuff just so he can quiet these voices down, It's a very fascinating and interesting look at, because in a lot of Stephen King books, yes, he has the multiverse, but we never see the after effects for, the survivors of, the horrors that they go through and stuff. And I thought that this was a really interesting look at, yeah, you may have survived, but did you really? The person you were is dead, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And something else has come out on the other side.
Kylie Curran, I'm going to say, or Curran.
Cool.
Curran, but Kylie was really great in this movie. One of the things I also really enjoyed about what's going on here was the storytelling. I thought they did a really great job of investing me in these characters and their journey in a not confusing, simple, interesting way. The introduction of Rose the Hat and her group I thought was really powerful.
We can just call them the Eaters.
Okay, we'll call them the Eaters.
Yeah.
I thought that was
I don't know if that's what they're called or not.
really well done. The first interaction between Rose the Hat and Abra was brilliantly constructed. I love the way that scene was constructed without going into any spoilers.
Yeah. It's my favorite part of the movie.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's so good. And part of what makes it so great is the storytelling that's going on here. Now, I don't know how much of that comes from the book. Neither of us have read it.
Yeah.
I'm assuming a lot of it does. But it's brought to the screen in a way that it doesn't feel like there's any parts missing to it, which can happen with books a lot of times. So I really enjoyed the storytelling of what was going on here, the way they brought you through, the slow. So one thing the original Shining had was kind of the slow descent into madness.
Yeah.
In this one, we're dealing more with the slow ascent into taking ownership, which is fascinating to me. It's almost like, one of them is about degradation and one of them is about edification, building up. And I found that, again, really interesting and really fascinating. The other thing about the Eaters is I felt like we were given the exact right amount of empathy for them. Like, we understood their motivations. We understood what they were doing.
Temptation.
Yeah. We get how this happens. And it felt right. It felt authentic. But what I mean by right, not necessarily morally right, but it felt authentic to that story. So, there's a lot of really good work going on here, I think.
Yeah, that's just great storytelling. And I can see, I guess this could just be a warning. If you're expecting the Shining movie, the Kubrick Shining, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
You're going to get homages and callbacks and stuff. That's overlook. Tonally.
The movie, especially when it's time, plays the hits. It is, every memorable, I shouldn't say every, but a high percentage of the memorable scenes from The Shining, having just watched it before I went and saw this, are referenced or literally right there in front of you in this movie at one point. And I don't know that it ever got to the point where I was like, that's forced, that's weak. It didn't necessarily get there, but it kind of tiptoed close. There were a couple times where I was like, that seems a little, I'm glad, but I don't know. It reminded me of the winking fan service that happens in a lot of our modern pop culture.
I don't think it relied on it though.
No.
Yeah, I think that it was more interested in telling the story it had in front of it than trying to recreate The Shining.
Sure.
Which is great. My big con with the movie is there was a couple times where they hem-hawed across information okay, you're just jumping to that conclusion just to move the story forward sort of thing. You don't have any real basis for your claims or anything like that. You're just we need to do this because movie needs to happen in this place or that place, I was like, okay, you could have explained that a little bit better, but then again, time, you got to have a pretty flowing movie so I can understand.
Yeah.
So that's my one major con.
Yeah, I kind of already talked about mine. I thought it looked good. I thought it looked beautiful. I thought the effects were well done.
Yeah.
For the most part. I thought the world, quote unquote, building that's happening here was interesting to me. I was fascinated by the more detailed idea of what Shining is, of what steam is, about all these kind of things. Is steam a Stephen King word too, or is that kind of a new?
See, shine, that's something prevalent in almost all of his books.
Yeah, right.
Because the kids from It, they shine. In The Dark Tower, they call it the touch. They don't call it the shine. I've never seen steam before.
Yeah.
But then again, I haven't read the book, so I'm sure they didn't just throw it in there. Or maybe they did. What do I know? but I found it interesting. Because even in the Dark Tower movie, for as much as it gets wrong, they were feeding on those that shined, and that, don't forget too, they were using that power to try and bring down the tower.
Right.
And that's something that actually is correct. People who shine, that power can be absorbed and drained, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's like the main overarching like prevalency in all of Stephen King's work is the shine / the touch.
Anything else you wanted to talk about with this? For me, I'll just do this maybe for my one last thing. So many X-Men vibes off of this movie. And maybe we can talk about more of that in spoilers. But it's fascinating to me. I don't know that you can help that. I don't know that you can make a movie that has certain aspects to it and you're not going to be in some way feeling like there's a reflection of other things that have been done. But there were several times in this movie I'm like, oh, it's like that in the X-Men. Oh, it was like my context to kind of place together a lot of stuff that was happening. Maybe
for me, just because I'm like, oh, that's from that Stephen King work.
Right.
Oh, so that's where I really got my...
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's just something, we look for commonalities and things. We're like, okay, I can reference it to that and that just so you feel like you understand it more.
Yes.
But yeah. Good movie.
Yeah, and...
no post-credit scene.
And, it was... What's her name? Rebecca Ferguson?
Yes.
Great Magneto. I mean, Red Hat. Great, whatever that character's name was.
Man, that scene where she goes to meet Abra. Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah, it's so great. All right. That'll do it for our review of Dr. Sleep. Let's take a look at our best ever challenge for this week. We're going to do best ever movies that have the word doctor in the title. Now, that can be the full word doctor.
DR.
It can be DR period. It can be doc.
What's up, Doc?
If you want, we can go that route. Not a ton, but enough to do a top 5, I think.
I got 5.
What's your number 5?
Dr. No.
Ooh.
No.
It's my number 4, but let's go ahead and talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to throw the Bond movie on here, right?
Yeah. James Bond.
Yeah, little Sean Connery Bond. Is it the best Sean Connery Bond?
Oh gosh, no.
No.
Goldfinger.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not a Bond aficionado, so.
Yeah. Oh, I knew that about you. Yeah. But I definitely am. I love me some James Bond.
So, what specifically about Dr. No would you say?
What's the first?
Yeah.
So just got everything up and running. If you don't count like the original Casino Royale, which. Yeah.
Who does?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is the pinnacle, the foundation of what this entire franchise was built. You get one movie that just sparks, and then here we are now.
People talk about franchise filmmaking as if it's a brand new thing. It's not.
Cinematic universes are a brand new thing, but franchises, those have been forever.
Yeah, Hollywood has always been interested in making money off something that made money before.
Yeah.
That has not changed.
Nice. What you got?
My number 5 is Doctor Who. And that is the movie, the Doctor Who movie.
Which one?
There's only technically one movie, Doctor Who, but why are you thinking of other Doctor Who movies?
The only one I can think of is the one that has both Matt and David in it, where...
Yeah, Day of the Doctor, I think, is what you're thinking of. But that's technically a TV episode.
I thought that was a full-on movie.
Well, in the same way that the Christmas specials are movies, but they're not.
See, that's where I was confused, because I'm like, I don't know if I can put any of the Doctor Who, because I don't know if those technically count as movies or not. But there's an actual movie.
Yes, Paul McGann played the Doctor for the movie. And it is kind of the in-between of the original OG TV series and the new TV series. I think it was 1996. So, Russell T. Davies hadn't, kicked off the Christopher Eccleston run.
Yeah.
And it had been, a few years since the, Doctor Who ended. And I think the early 80s. I could be wrong about that.
Okay.
But so it kind of bridged that gap. In between, and I think there's some trivia. I could have this completely wrong, but I think it is the only Doctor that we haven't seen go through the transformation process.
Oh, really?
To the new Doctor. So, so kind of I could be absolutely wrong about that. I am a Doctor Who fan, but not an like. I feel
Fanatic.
like I'm an uber fan, but I don't know all that stuff like by heart. So. But I do. But the movie is worth seeing just for how it connects.
Yeah.
Stuff that goes on, and I had to give a shout out to.
Exterminate.
You can't talk about Doctor titles without talking about Doctor Who. So thankfully they've made a movie. That's my number 5. What's your number 4?
I'll go Dr. Dolittle, the Eddie Murphy one.
Yeah, it's in my honorable mentions.
Yeah. I mean, it was when I was a kid. This was like just a fun movie.
Criminally overlooked by the Academy in that year's Academy Awards.
You think so? Okay, I was like, I don't know if you're like really pushing hard for Eddie Murphy to get that Oscar.
That would be so the Academy Awards if the Academy Award that Eddie Murphy won was for Dr. Dolittle. Yeah. No, I'm not saying that.
No, it's really funny. You got Chris Rock as a hamster. I mean, what more do you need?
What other world do you want to live in?
Exactly.
Than the one where Chris Rock is a hamster voice.
Yeah.
No, good choice. I had on my honorable mentions.
All right. What's your number 3?
No, my number 3.
Yeah.
What's Up, Doc? Have you seen this?
Is it a Bugs Bunny movie?
No. Barbra Streisand. It's really interesting because it's a movie that was made in the 70s. But it feels like a caper from like the 40s maybe or the 50s. It's really funny. It's high energy. It just moves a mile a minute, and it's just it's a lot of fun. It's the most fun you will ever have watching a Barbra Streisand movie.
I'm not a Streisand fan.
She's
really.
so fun in this.
Okay.
So it might be maybe if you're not a Streisand fan, this is the one that you can kind of watch and kind of see what everybody else is talking about. So
Papa, can you hear me?
Thanks, Deadpool.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Peter Bogdanovich, by the way, wrote and directed it.
Cool.
So, yeah.
My number 3?
Yep.
Abbott and Costello meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Nice. I didn't even have this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. I mean, Abbott and Costello, that was my childhood growing up.
No, I love Abbott. I think I've even talked about for a talent show my friend and I did Who's on First.
Did you really?
The entire routine.
Who?
Yeah. We memorized my friend.
Who?
I told you.
Who?
My friend.
Who?
We did the entire routine for our talent show, and it was I remember sitting in my bunk bed like memorizing my lines, and it's just
Who were you? Were you Abbott or were you Costello?
I was the straight man. So I
So
was
you were,
Costello.
Costello.
Or
No.
Abbott. Which one is which? Lou Abbott.
Yeah, Abbott is the tall, skinny one.
Okay.
Lou Costello is the short.
All right, yeah. I was the tall, skinny one.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I haven't seen a lot of their movies like this though.
Oh, they're good. They have like Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein and Dracula and stuff like that. They hit all like the dark universe classics like Wolfman and stuff like that. And man, I just ate those up when I was a kid. And this one is especially funny.
Wolfman, I think I did see Abbott and Costello and Wolfman.
Meet Wolfman.
Yeah, I
and
think
Mummy and stuff like that. Oh, I love them. I love it. It just makes me so happy thinking about it.
Yeah.
All right, your number 2?
My number 2, because what was your?
My number 3 was the Abbott and Costello.
All right, so yeah, I guess we'll do my number 2.
Have we skipped one of yours or?
No, I think because Dr. No, we just kind of switched our order, but that's fine. I'm not too worried about it.
Okay.
So my number 2 is Dr. Strangelove, or How I Stopped Worrying and Learned to Love the Bomb.
We probably have our number 1 and our number 2 flip then.
That I would imagine that's the case.
Yeah.
You want to talk about this first?
Yeah, let's talk about it first.
I mean, kind of a nice little Kubrick tie.
Yeah,
right? Stanley
exactly,
Kubrick, 1964.
This movie's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's so funny, but it's so believably ridiculous at the same time. You're like,
there's a really sharp satire to it.
Yeah,
you know.
Oh yeah, there's definitely an underground bunker with a bunch of generals and stuff. Just got that finger on the button, just wanting to push it so hard.
Peter Sellers.
He's everybody in this movie. He plays like 5 people in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
George C. Scott, Slim Pickens.
Yeah. He wasn't in much, was he?
No.
He was in Blazing Saddles and this. And you also got James Earl Jones in this as well. He's one of the pilots.
Yeah.
Slim Pickens, man, he rode that nuke.
Yeah, one of the most, I would say, iconic pieces of film in film history is him riding that nuke,
down
the sky. I mean, just
Yeah.
It's great stuff, and you can see the talent and artistry of Kubrick on full display even here in his career. So yeah, no,
Was
it's
this
good.
this was intentionally black and white, right? It was like color films definitely like were
In
prevalent.
1964.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they had color then.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you had like Wizard of Oz came out in 1944 or something like that. So,
Yeah.
but I was like, it was a choice, but I didn't know if it was like just easier or if he was actually going for like a theme or something.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz came out in 1939. So yeah,
39. I thought it was 44.
Colored been around for a while.
Well, then, yeah, it definitely been around for a hot minute.
Yep.
And so your number one and my number two are
Doctor Strange. Yeah.
Yeah. No love.
No love.
Doctor Strange love. Doctor Strange.
Yes, sorry. Yeah. I was like, no love? Why do you have it in number 2 if no love?
Yeah. No, Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great addition to the MCU.
It continues to creep up my MCU list.
Really?
I dig the character. I dig the world. I dig the cape. There's just so much I love. I love the performance. I really dig this character.
And the movie did a really good job of making you feel like you only scratched the surface of the possibilities and like the mysticism of everything. It gave you enough to get you intrigued, but also yearning for more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's a great movie. Benedict is perfect for this role. I was actually kind of nervous because I didn't know how he'd do with an American accent because his English accent is so thick.
Yeah.
But no, he does a really good job, and I think he's actually a really good Stephen Strange.
Yeah. No, I love everything about this character and this movie, and I am pumped for the sequel.
Yeah. I've come to bargain, Dormammu.
Yes, that's at the end of this movie is so good.
Yes, because it's not a see who can punch who the hardest.
No, it's clever.
It's
different. It's great. I love.
That's one of the main reasons why I love this movie so much is because it's like, and also the scene where time is being reversed in China and they're having to fight while everything is being reversed around them. It's such a cleverly choreographed and brilliant shot.
Did we go down to Branson and see this together in laser?
I think we did. No, not in laser because this came out a long time before laser.
I feel like it was one of the first ones I saw in laser, but maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I remember we saw the horrible Fast and Furious movies, but yeah, we definitely did go down to Branson to see this together.
That would have been the year 2016. That would have been. Yeah, I think it is. I am almost sure this was one of the first movies I ever saw in laser.
Okay.
IMAX. So yeah, because I just remember how crisp, like some of those long distance 3D shots looked to me.
I remember the sling ring and the mystical shields that he was creating and stuff. Just the lines that were coming off them were so detailed and stuff.
Speaking of which, by the way, update everybody on the HFR effect. I think it's finally worn off.
Oh, good.
So I'm now not disappointed in every movie I see because it's not HFR. But I'm still ready. I'm waiting for every movie to be HFR.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
You actually got me kind of nervous about that.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm afraid, like, what if I go and see an HFR movie and it messes with me?
That's right. No, it's just me. I don't think everybody else is having that reaction.
Okay.
I think most people are the reverse reaction, which is when they go see HFR, they don't like it because it's so different. But I'm the weird one who loves it. Bring it on.
All right, man.
Make SiftPop on YouTube in HFR. Let's do it. Let's do 60 frames next time, Phil. Let's make it happen.
I think OBS can go up to 120.
Let's do it. Let's do.
It would be 360 or 240 resolution.
Let's do 1,000 frames per second. Let's just really blow it out. Let's make it crystal clear. All right, so that'll wrap it up for the best ever challenge. Before we hit the Sift Quest for this week, a huge thanks to our SiftPop members who actually make this show possible. Both the audio portion, which much of the equipment, much of the movies we see are supported by those members, and the video portion, brand new video setup going on with SiftPop today, and a lot of that came from the ability of our members to support what goes on here. So thank you so much for doing that. It means the world that you enjoy this enough that you would actually throw a couple dollars our way every month. It's kind of mind-blowing. Go to...
Very humbling.
Yeah, it really is. Go to patreon.com/SiftPop if you want all the information. What an incredible crew of people coming together to make SiftPop real. So thank you. We appreciate that. Again, that is patreon.com/SiftPop. SiftPop. Sift Quest today says this, inspired by Aaron's recent press invite. I think that's for The Irishman. What A-list actor or actress, either past the prime age or deceased, do you wish could have played a role in a modern-day comic book movie? Example, a young Al Pacino as Wolverine, who is supposed to be short, it says in parentheses.
He was. He's a little muscle ball.
Great question. Very fascinating to think of, right?
I got 10.
Well, you're gonna own this segment. I just did 2.
I guess I couldn't stop. I was having so much fun. Like, oh, what is this
great.
person?
You want me to just get mine out of the way and then you can just go off?
Okay.
I think Cary Grant would be a great Iron Man. His debonair quality, his SWAT, like I love that.
No, he would pull it off.
Yeah. I think he could definitely pull that off.
Yeah.
And then I think Jimmy Stewart as Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four.
Why are my arms so stretchy? You can hear Phil in there.
A young Jimmy Stewart, I just think of his energy, and it matches kind of that funness that I've seen in Mr. Fantastic in the movies of like, oh wow, how is this happening? Why is this happening? But he can also be serious and complex. Yeah. And so I think that
the Invisible Woman is played by Harvey, the giant white rabbit.
Yes, exactly. See, now you've got it. You're totally
I'm
understanding.
picking up what you're putting down.
All right, go off, man. Like you couldn't help yourself.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Tom Selleck is Bruce Wayne, specifically in The Dark Knight Returns.
All right.
If he were to play old Bruce Wayne, I think he would really pull it off.
A little mustachioed Batman going on.
I'm gonna go with Martin Sheen as Logan.
Okay.
If you get a younger one, Martin Sheen, and he were to get muscled up, I think his voice perfect for it.
Okay.
Sam Elliott as Martian Manhunter. It's something he would never. It's not a cowboy,
right?
So I don't know if you could convince him to do it, but I think he would be perfect.
I only know Martian Manhunter from the Supergirl TV show.
Oh, okay.
Is it a Supergirl character?
No, he's a member of the Justice League.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's very popular.
All right, fair enough.
He's like one of the most powerful people in DC. I'm gonna go Helen Mirren as Magic from the X-Men.
Okay.
You get a young Helen Mirren. She'd turn some heads. Robert Redford as Superman.
Yeah.
I think, because
they could have done that. I mean, Superman.
They could have done that, yeah.
I mean, I guess how old would he have been when Superman came out? But
Superman came out during World War II.
Well, the movie? Was there a Superman movie during World War II?
No, like who could have played? I think what they're asking is...
No, I know. I'm just saying, even like the actual history we lived in, Superman came out in 1978.
The movie.
The first movie. I wonder just how old Redford was then. He probably was maybe too old for that role.
Oh, yeah. He was probably in his 40s by then, I imagine.
Yeah.
After Redford, I got Brad Pitt as Hal Jordan / the Green Lantern. I think he would have killed it as Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
But he's still just a little too old.
Yep. Redford was born in 1936, so he would have been 42 when Superman came out.
Yeah. Clint Eastwood as Johnny Blaze, the Ghost Rider.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Harrison Ford is the Thing from the Fantastic Four.
Okay. You'll have to explain that to me. It doesn't seem right to me, but...
It's the voice.
Okay.
If you were to just, I think he has the perfect voice for the Thing. After that, I got Meryl Streep as Jean Grey.
Ooh, yeah.
Because if anybody could pull off, the Phoenix, like the tormenting mentality, like the twisting and stuff, Meryl Streep could do it.
Yeah.
And then Salma Hayek as Kamala Khan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Miss Marvel.
These are great choices.
I know.
Thank you, Andrew.
And I stopped at 10 because I had a lot more. And I'm like, that would just take up the whole podcast if I just went on and on and on.
Yeah, I didn't think about it beyond 2. I was just like, 2 probably is enough. But no, you couldn't stop yourself.
By the bug.
Nicely done. That means that's a good question.
Yeah.
You ask a question right in Andrew's wheelhouse. So if you'd like to ask a Sift Quest, feel free to email us. That's feedback@siftpop.com.
I didn't know Martian Manhunter was in the Supergirl show.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite DC characters. I'm surprised I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think, unless I'm thinking of...
Is his name John John?
Maybe?
Phil!
You really miss Phil, don't you?
I know.
Yeah. Yes.
It is?
It is the same person.
Oh, I might have to start watching Supergirl.
Yes. And yes, John Johns.
Yeah, John John.
John Johns. It has Z's.
Jean.
Jean.
Yeah.
John. Anyhow, there you go.
You could just say Martian Manhunter.
Or John Jones. That works as well.
John Bones Jones.
You ready to hit our buried treasure?
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Sure.
All right, what do you got?
I saw a movie that cracked my top 10 movies of the year. I mean,
I think that's going to happen here a few times as we finish out this year.
But this one came out a little while ago.
Yeah.
The Peanut Butter Falcon.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
This movie's good.
Yeah, I've
I
heard.
really liked it. I had so much fun with this movie. It's one of those movies that just makes you smile from beginning to end. Like, it's full of hope and stuff while having a very emotional, like, heart-wrenching backstories for these characters, but so much hope for the future and stuff like that. Great performances. Shia LaBeouf kills it.
He's in another movie that's coming out.
Honey
Boy.
Which I was looking forward to seeing because it was an Amazon original.
Yeah.
And it came out November 8th. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I went on Amazon Prime, only in theaters.
Oh, yeah. I
got Amazon.
A little bit of maybe make you upset. I don't know. Amazon just sent me all their award screeners digitally. So I have a sign in so I can see Honey Boy, Aeronauts, I think is another Amazon one.
Yeah,
all this stuff. So I'm trying to figure out like which ones to watch first, but I haven't watched any of them yet.
Well, Shia is getting a lot of Oscar praise and, potential for Honey Boy. But honestly, he's killing it this year because this movie is great. The emotional journey he goes through in this movie is brilliant. The guy can act right up there with the best.
Very nice.
But yeah, I can't recommend this movie enough. It's
Dakota Johnson.
Oh, she's great. Yeah.
Bruce Dern.
He's in the movie for like a little. He's a cameo kind of guy. There's a lot of
Thomas Hayden Church. John Bernthal.
Oh, Thomas Hayden Church was great. And what's his name? Not John Bernthal.
John Hawkes.
John Hawkes. There we go. Yeah. John Hawkes is good in this too. He can play the. He's really the same guy he was in Winter's Bone, except less methed out.
Yeah.
But no.
And Zach Gottsagen was Zach.
Yeah.
And Peanut Butter Falcon.
Oh, he's so good. Yeah.
Good.
This movie's like Little Miss Sunshine if it took place in Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Very nice.
What you got?
I saw an awards contender. A24 sent their first batch of screeners. So
Did you see Uncut Gems?
No, they didn't send that one yet.
Okay.
They're holding on to the big hitters, I think, until a little bit later.
Because Uncut Gems, I know I'm stepping all over your buried treasure.
No,
but
go for it, man.
Uncut Gems is now officially my most anticipated movie of the year.
Knives Out, still for me. It has been, and it will continue to be till I see it.
Well,
in
Thanksgiving, right?
A couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah. So what you got?
My buried treasure is The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Ooh.
It's very good.
Is it?
It's very good. I don't know. It might be close to cracking my top 10 just because it's been such a down year in movies.
Yeah.
But I guess that sounds a little dismissive of the movie. No, it's really good. It's a really good film. And it's what I love about it. It's one of those films that puts you in a place that you don't know if you're going to find it interesting or not, but it draws you into the characters so well and what they're going through so well that you're just fascinated by following their story and where they go. And this friendship between these two and how they navigate the gentrification of their home city and all these kind of things. It's devastating. It's beautiful. It's fun in some areas. There is a key scene in this movie that was just gripping. And I love that. I love when a movie can just be absolutely 100% gripping. So lots of great stuff going on here. And I think, and I haven't done the study I need to do on it yet because I just saw it last night, but I think this is a lot of kind of based on the actual friendship of the filmmakers and the actual story of kind of some things that they went through. So I think there's an element of kind of their own real story here too.
The trailer for this movie reminded me of Blind Spotting in a way, because Blind Spotting was also about, you know, the gentrification of Oakland.
Yes.
Which is on the other side of that Golden Gate Bridge. So
correct.
Yeah. And if it's anything as good as Blind Spotting was, then yeah, I'm definitely stoked for this one. I'm not saying that
I don't think it is. I don't think it's as good as Blind Spotting.
Okay.
But it's definitely good. Jimmy Fails and Jonathan Majors play the two main roles, and Danny Glover's in there for a little bit as well.
Gotta love Danny Glover.
So yeah, lots of good stuff going on with the Last Black Man in San Francisco is definitely a recommend. It is one of the best movies I've seen this year. Probably won't compete for top 5, but maybe top 10.
Nice.
So there you go. Last Black Man in San Francisco. Well, we did it, man.
Yeah, we did.
We grabbed an axe and chopped up a podcast door and turned it into a podcast.
Here's SiftPop.
That's how it works. Thank you so much for joining us today for SiftPop. It is part of the Studio DNA Podcast Network. You can find out more about other shows on the network at studiodna.media or by searching Studio DNA in your podcast player. Huge thanks to Andrew for hanging out.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
Huge thanks to Phil, who's producing from the other room.
Thanks, Phil.
Phil! Much love and gratitude to our SiftPop members as well for giving monthly to make SiftPop a real thing. Support starts at $3 a month. Comes with some pretty fun perks, including a monthly video hangout as well as every bonus episode. And just to say, sorry to SiftPop members for slacking the last couple weeks on bonus episodes. Andrew has been pushing. He's been like, we should do a bonus. And I'm just like, can't today. I'm so busy. I got stuff, or my head's blowing up, or you know, whatever the case may be.
Jet lagged.
Yeah. It's been a crazy couple weeks. Not an excuse, but it is an apology. And we will definitely have a bonus episode this week for our members.
Actually, I can't.
Yeah, no. I did this right live on air. Andrew's like, sorry to make you a liar, buddy, but I gotta go.
No, we're definitely doing one.
So if you want to be a SiftPop member, you can check that out at patreon.com/SiftPop. Lots of ways to connect with us. Leave a comment, rate the show, leave a review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, or you can email us at feedback@siftpop.com. And finally, if you're having a good time, your movie-loving friends will probably like the show too, so let them know about it, and that listening is much easier than explaining why you shattered your blackboard to spell the word murder. Next, we will have spoilers, and then we'll be back next week with... What comes out next week? I forgot to look it up.
Is next week Knives Out?
No, Knives Out is Thanksgiving week, but... Oh, it's Frozen. Frozen's out next week. So Andrew is thrilled that we will be reviewing Frozen 2 next week, and probably another movie as well. Just so Andrew can be...
between now and then.
Just so Andrew can be happy about something.
Hey, we could see. Wait, doesn't Ford versus Ferrari next week?
Oh, Ford versus Ferrari is next week. That's right. No, Frozen's not out next week.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks from now.
No, Knives Out is 2 weeks. Is Frozen 3 weeks?
November 22nd is Frozen 2, along with A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, 21 Bridges.
What a crazy.
And then the 27th is Knives Out.
That's amazing. All right, I'm going to re-record that last part, Phil. Next week, next up in your feed, we'll have some spoilers, and then we'll be back next week with Ford versus Ferrari.
Vroom, vroom.
Vroom, vroom, vroom.
Was that Hyundai?
I don't know.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Thank you for joining us on the show. We appreciate it. Amon hanging out says, I've never seen The Shining, so sadly I'm not interested in Dr. Sleep. I'm just afraid it won't live up to the hype, although I do love the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror parody. So let's see.
Where Homer can't get a TV to work.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great Treehouse of Horror.
Yes.
Did you see the? Oh, you watch every episode of The Simpsons, don't you?
I do. I still do, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
I have seen that show's been on for so long. There's no way I'm stopping now.
You know what I
mean? Like I've already invested, 30 million episodes. Why would I stop?
How many weeks of footage is there?
I have no idea. Plus, it's occasionally amusing still. It's not like it's horrible. They're still funny. I still love those characters.
I still think the most impressive thing is you've seen every single episode of SNL. That's way more impressive than every episode of The Simpsons.
Is it? Yeah, I guess it is.
Because it's so much more.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Thank you. My sickness knows no bounds. Let's see. Chesta says, both films are just great recommendations. So I think he's talking about our... what are they called?
Buried Treasures?
Buried Treasures, yeah.
See,
yeah.
at the end of the episodes, we do Buried
Thank you,
Treasures,
Andrew.
and
I
then before
appreciate
that, we do Sift Quest.
Jay Bourgeois says, Clint Eastwood is Wolverine.
He's too tall. I thought about that, but he's really tall.
Chesta says, these two hosts I want to see in 120 frames per second 3D IMAX.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you. Thank you. That's very kind.
We'll definitely need a makeup department if we're going to get that kind of clarity.
Yeah. Chad agreeing they don't get the anger over the James Dean thing, so that's kind of nice. Because all I read online was that people were like, "We're doomed. The future is doomed. Why are we doing this?" And
No,
it's just like, it's technology, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Chris Evans
doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Yeah,
it could be awful.
Chris Evans wasn't having it, I'll tell you that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He hated it?
Yeah.
I like Chris Evans.
I do too.
I just disagree with him on that.
Yep.
That can happen. Thank you so much to everybody who stopped by for the live video show. We will catch you on the flip side. It'll be, I'm not sure if we're doing spoilers live on YouTube, but if we are, it'll show up in your YouTube recommends here shortly. So we'll see you there.